everyone. You are listening to another episode of the Colleague Down the Hall podcast. I'm your host, Janine Wolf, and today we're going to dive into something that many of you might be feeling right now: the stress of managing a therapy practice while also being a parent during the back-to-school season. If you're like I was during my kids' school days, you've probably been juggling more balls than usual lately. The transition from the slower pace of summer to the demands of the school year can feel overwhelming, especially when you're running your own private practice. Today, I want to talk about ways to manage the stress and maintain our well-being during this hectic time. First, let's acknowledge the reality. The shift back to school isn't just hard on the kids, it's tough on the whole family. Suddenly, you're back to packing lunches, chauffeuring between sports and activities, enforcing bedtimes, and helping with homework, all while managing your caseload and keeping your practice running smoothly. These added responsibilities can create a perfect storm of stress. It's easy to feel like there aren't enough hours in the day. Let's look at setting boundaries at work. When the school year starts, your schedule and those of many of your clients change. This might be the perfect time to reassess your work boundaries. Can you adjust your hours slightly to better accommodate your family's needs? Maybe you can set more definitive boundaries around your workday to ensure you're available for your children when they need you most, like during the homework hours or the evening wind down. Remember, it's okay to say no to extra commitments that don't align with your top priorities. In fact, it's more than okay. It can be vital. If you've ever reached that extra crispy level of burnout, you know what I mean. So if you're someone who has trouble saying no, especially with extracurricular activities your kids might be involved in, decide how much time you have to give, if any, and stick to that amount. There are some other ways that you can look at to help yourself get into that back-to-school routine. Use your practice management software, or EHR. If you invest in one of these, it integrates scheduling, billing, and client records all in one place. This can significantly reduce the time spent managing different systems and ensure that everything is organized and accessible. I know there are some people out there that keep paper notes. They use spreadsheets to keep documents for their clients and even their clinical notes, but just be aware that consolidating all of this into one space can sometimes be a huge benefit. Look at streamlining your client scheduling. Consider using the self-scheduling feature in your EHR to reduce the time spent on back-and-forth emails or calls with current or potential clients. I know this makes a lot of therapists nervous because they want to have control over their schedule, but I have some pointers. Every Friday, I look at the next few weeks on my calendar to see what's available. If I have too many sessions in one day, I'll block out time so no one can schedule then. If there's a client I prefer not to use self-scheduling due to a variety of factors, I turn that feature off for them. Also, using a tool like an autoresponder on your email account can help you communicate things like only having afternoon appointments open, that you don't see clients after 5 p.m., or you do not have openings for new clients, whatever the information is that you need to convey to them. You can also include information about when you return calls and handle documentation requests so you won't feel anxious about getting back to people in a timely manner. And for potential clients, you can direct them to a screening form to make sure they're a good fit, and that can save you some back and forth time as well. Consider outsourcing administrative or personal tasks. Whether it's hiring extra help at home, a VA for the office, asking a partner to share more of the load, temporarily or long-term, or even relying on your clinical consultation group for ideas and support about what's working for them, now is the time to ask for help. It's also important to recognize that you don't have to do everything alone. Delegating tasks where possible can significantly lighten your load. If you haven't discovered the wonders of ChatGTP for your personal life, I encourage you to check that out. I know a lot of people have feelings, all kinds of feelings about using AI in your life, but I will give you a quick little tip. You can take a picture of the inside of your pantry and the inside of your refrigerator, upload that to ChatGTP, and ask it to make recipes and menus with the items you have available. Try it. Trust me, it's going to blow your mind. All right, next, look at batching your work. Group similar tasks together to improve efficiency. For example, set aside specific times each week for administrative work, such as client notes or billing, rather than spreading these tasks out throughout the day. This helps you stay focused and minimizes the transition time between different types of work. And for those of you out there who are neurodivergent like myself, this can be especially helpful. If you discontinued telehealth sessions after the pandemic, or it's not something that you've considered doing after you return to in-person sessions, I want you to reconsider this. If you're not already offering telehealth sessions, consider integrating it into your practice. It not only offers flexibility for you and your clients, but also reduces the time spent on commuting, allowing you to maximize your work hours. You can pick 1 or more days a week to offer virtual sessions that you can have somewhere in your home if you're able to do that quietly or somewhere close by instead of commuting to your office. That could free up time for you to be able to have lunch with your littles or to be there to meet them after the bus. You also want to set clear client expectations. And how many times do we remind ourselves of that anyway? That's a constant reminder because we are constantly trying to accommodate everybody, and that doesn't always work out best for us in the end. So during this busy time, it might be helpful to communicate any temporary changes to your availability or response times to your clients. Setting these expectations can help prevent burnout by reducing the pressure to respond immediately to every inquiry. And chances are you have clients who are dealing with some changes with the fall as well. I have changed my schedule many times over the years to accommodate the needs of my family or myself, and for the most part, my clients are happy to be flexible. If you're really worried about this, write a script for yourself and practice in front of a mirror or with one of your consultation group members. Next, why don't you consider reevaluating your client load? If possible, consider temporarily reducing your client load or spacing out appointments to give yourself more breathing room. Prioritize existing clients and critical cases, and perhaps pause on taking new clients until your schedule stabilizes. This is another area therapists tend to worry about, but you have options. You can add new clients to your schedule, but put them a few weeks out in your calendar so that you can get back on your feet before seeing them. You also, if you don't have someone working in your office who's answering the phone, you also might want to have a conversation with your clients about if an emergency call comes in from your child's school, or pretty much any call from your child's school, that you will need to interrupt the session to take that. If they're calling you, that means no one else is available and you need to prioritize your children. I've never had a client be unhappy with that, and there's so many subtle ways of managing that now so that it's not disruptive to your clients or the session. Look at automating your marketing efforts. If you engage in regular marketing such as newsletters or social media updates, consider using automation tools. There are platforms that allow you to schedule content in advance, ensuring consistent communication with minimal ongoing effort. Some will even recycle these on a specified schedule. And I want to remind you about being present with your kids. In the midst of all this juggling, it's easy to feel like you're constantly torn between work and family. I've worked as a full-time working mom, a part-time working mom, part-time stay-at-home mom, and a full-time stay-at-home mom. And I will tell you that none of those is perfect. There's always going to be challenges with all of them. So when you're with your children, focus on being fully present with them during the time you do spend with them. When you're with them, try to focus on quality over quantity. Put down the phone, close the laptop, engage in activities that you all enjoy. This can reduce the guilt that often comes with being a working parent and strengthen your connection with your kids. Developing rituals to shift from work mode to mom or dad mode can really help with this transition. This also might be a really good time to rely a little bit less on tech, especially after hours in the evening. You might find that you really are having more focus and energy by not being on screens as much. Even though we know a lot of that is required with our work, sometimes taking that break is a good reminder of the benefits of not being on it as much. Let's consider accepting imperfection. I want to remind you and myself, because I don't always walk the talk myself, that it's okay if everything isn't perfect. Let me say that again. It's okay if everything isn't perfect. I'm writing copy for my website, and I'm reminding myself that every day I can always go back and edit it later. It doesn't have to be perfect right now. And so that's something that I'm encouraging you to do as well. Therapists set the bar really high for themselves. There will be days when you feel like you're barely keeping your head above water, and that's normal. The key is to give yourself grace. Recognize that you're doing your best and that's enough. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't put in a reminder to take care of yourself. You don't need my prattling on about self-care. You know the drill, but simple practices like a quiet morning routine, even if it's just 10 minutes of mindfulness before the kids wake up, can set the tone for the day. As therapists, we're often focused on helping others, but it's vital that we also take care of ourselves, especially during stressful times like the start of the school year. By prioritizing the needs of our families and ourselves, setting boundaries, leveraging our support networks, being present with our children, and accepting imperfection, we can navigate this challenging period with more ease and less stress. Remember, managing a practice and parenting at the same time is no small feat. You're doing an incredible job, even if it doesn't seem like it on some days. Let's continue to support each other as we balance these dual roles, and keep in mind that it's okay to seek help when you need it. Reach out to peers and your colleagues, ask for support. Offer support. Let people know what's worked for you if you're further down the road of working as a parent and running your private practice. Together, we can make it through this busy season with resilience and grace. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. For all of you working therapists out there, please remember our work is hard, but it doesn't have to be lonely.